guys, hello, welcome to one of the wettest Wednesdays I can ever remember. I live in Rosendale. It rains 363 days of the year and I've never seen it rain like this before. Thank you for joining me, for staying inside, staying safe, staying dry, staying warm and spending 10 or 20 minutes with me, AC. And I'm going to talk bowls, which is usual for me on a Wednesday. So, guys, thanks for joining me. Remember, if you enjoy this video, hit that like button. And if you're not already a bowls buddy and a member of this wonderful community, please hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, hit the notification bell for notifications of new content on the channel, which is currently 3 times a week. And don't forget to tell your friends about all the wonderful, wonderful bowls videos of days gone by that you can watch absolutely free of charge. You might have to watch an odd advert now and again, but that's Google for you, nothing to do with me. So, what's been happening in the crazy world of Crying Green bowls? Not a lot. I'm not even sure what to tell you at the minute. There has been a bit of an update with the Waterloo, and I noticed that Gary Ellis put a new message out on the Waterloo Facebook group, so I will talk about that first. So he quite a long message, and he just reiterating that we've got the 75 grand that we need for the work. But the biggest issue now is obviously we don't know how long COVID and everything is going to be, how long the lockdown is going to be on for. There's talks of it being till Easter. Who knows? We don't. So what he was trying to get across was there's some good news that the owner is quite happy to be as flexible as the team at the Waterloo need him to be, which is absolutely great. He's not putting any demands or deadlines on them, so that's fantastic. And he just sets out the 3 things that could possibly happen moving forward. And initially, the first possibility is they're able to get a lease in place, get all the work done and signed off, and continue bowling there for the next 10 years. And that is obviously the situation Crying Green Bowls wants to be in with the Waterloo. 2, they're not able to achieve that and have to shut the place down. That's a possibility. Worst case scenario, no doubt. And 3, this actually could be worse than situation 2, where the work is started but end up with a massive overrun on the budget and haven't got enough money to complete the job and get everything signed off, so they can't bowl. That will be the worst situation possible. And he finishes with an apology saying sorry it's taking so long, but they have to be absolutely 100% certain that they won't end up with that 3rd scenario, which would be devastating to have raised all that money and not been able to complete all the tasks that were required. And he also thanks everyone for their ongoing support with the 50/50 draw, which is reaching mega numbers now. Who'd have thought that they'd have got to that number back when I made a plea for more, to the point where I think they've got, is it 6 prizes or 8 prizes or something? They've been able to offer more, a smaller first prize and more down the list, which people seem to be very happy about, and it seems to be attracting new people. So I suppose that in itself is positive. Fingers crossed that everything works out. All the meetings they've got planned with various contractors and specialists and engineers and, you know, the people that need to do the work, basically. Let's hope that they all work out, and this time next year at the very latest, we're looking at a Waterloo that's ready to be open for a spring Waterloo. I mean, it might happen this year, but you know, let's be realistic, we just don't know. Who knows what's happening in the world. What else can I tell you about? Well, for those of you who have been on the channel a long time and been a Bowls Buddy since almost the beginning, you'll have watched an awful lot of the videos that's on here, hopefully. There is well over 100 videos of old bowls competitions dating, I think the earliest is 1979, Brian Duncan's Waterloo. So there's plenty to go at, and you might have seen them all. And if you have seen them all, oh well, re-watch them. But for those of you that get fed up of watching old stuff, currently on YouTube, Facebook and the BBC Red Button is the World Bowls Championships, being held at Potter's Leisure as usual. And there is a bit of Crown Green interest, although they probably wouldn't call themselves Crown Green players, but they certainly have their roots in the Crown Green game. Of course, Mark Dawes, who is a previous world champion, I think picked up the open pairs title with a guy whose name I forget. He's still batting in the draw. And a young lad from Scarborough I came across a few years ago playing in an inter-district game, who has since won national championships indoors. Jack Bird, which is a name to conjure with. He pulled off a massive upset, beating Rob Paxton even, last year's world champion, and he's still going in the draw as well. So a little bit of Crown Green interest for those of you who want to watch something that's more current and up to date, but let's face it, immensely boring in comparison to Crown Green bowls. But it's as good as we're going to get at the minute. So I've mentioned that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look in Comment Corner.
Comment Corner.
Okay, so we'll start at the top and work my way through. Gary Nicholson has commented just recently, just to let you know, Andy, the Bedworth Greens have now sadly gone. A massive loss to Bowls and the North Midlands, as it was a banker green. It's been on the cards for some time as Bedworth. I know I played on the second green in a Federation game 3 years ago, possibly 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and they were they'd had a reprieve to play another season, so it was expected. I'm very sad because both greens were immense. The first main green was just, some would say not a bowling green, but when it was quick it was absolutely awesome. I've had the pleasure of playing it in a county game, played well and got 16, so yeah, sad news, but I'm afraid they're not going to be the last by any stretch of the imagination, and I can only see more and more closing over the next 12 months or so. Just I don't think clubs can afford to keep them going at the minute, but we will see. I don't want to be too negative, but yeah, that's very sad news. Nigel Pickles has asked a very personal question. How's the weight loss going, Andy? You're looking like you've lost some more pounds. Well, I had a shave. That's probably what it is. Weight loss not going too well, actually. Over Christmas I did loosen the diet a tad, and I managed to put on nearly a stone in weight. But I am back on a diet now, and I managed to lose 9 pounds in the first week, so it's all water weight really. Anyway, it's dry January, there's no alcohol passing the lips, and eating pretty healthily really. Clinton Roddis, maybe you're not of an age to remember the Thwaites Classic. Well, I am just about, and I'll tell you a little tale about it in a minute. First run in 1981 and won by Bernard Marrow. I seem to remember the first prize was £5,000 and it cost £5 to enter, which was probably a day's wage then. And then he goes on about the straws and a yardstick, which I'll come on to, and somebody else has mentioned the yardstick. The Thwaites Classic, run at the Whitton Bowling Club in Blackburn. I think it was 1,000 entries, and the final was the best of 5 games. I know Mick Robinson won it one year as well. It might have been the second year. And it was massive. £5,000 for the winner, £1,000 runner-up prize, and I think something like 500 quid for the semi-finalist. So massive amount of money, massive difference. And the reason I remember it so well is because as a junior I used to go down to Gag Hills practicing, and where they kept the jacks was in a cupboard, and on the inside of the door was a poster for the very first English Open held in 1981. So I would have been 15, 16, so that would have been 1988. So it had been up for 7 years, this poster, and every time I went to get a jack out I saw it. So yes, I do remember the Open. Never got a chance to play in it, but it was supposed to be at one point a competitor to the Waterloo that was going to give the Waterloo a run for its money. I think it lasted 3 years. I'm not sure it's there anymore. I've only played the green once, and the club had been turned into a nursery at that point, so I don't even know if it's there, I'll be honest with you. We played there one year, and then they moved to another green the following year, played in the Sunday morning league. So William Wilson, Andy, not measuring, but have you ever heard of the yardstick rule? Not played it myself, but seen the stick they used. It was used around North Warwickshire, Tamworth area. Don't know if it was used anywhere else. The rule being that any wood not in a yard of the jack did not count. And apparently there is a league in Tamworth that use this yardstick, and you've got to be within a yard to count. And I know that on the flat green, the Federation flat green that's played down the east coast and into East Anglia, they play a similar rule. It's got to be within a yard to count. And I'm sure Hugh Hornby mentioned in his book Bowled Over about a place, and I should have really researched it, but you know, that use a yardstick as well, and they use their own type of bowls and jacks of a slightly different shape to what we use and flat green use. But yes, I think it's very interesting idea. But on some greens, like the one we've just mentioned, Bedworth, it might take you 3 hours to play a game of 21 up, because you're not certain to get a ball within a yard of the jack on there. So flat green, great idea. Crown green, not so sure. It could take a long time to finish a game. Steve Walker, thanks Andy for another great programme, some really valid points raised. The one about the current state of league bowling is really apt. I'm a member of a club with 18 bowlers, and we play in 4 leagues, and a number of us play for other clubs, so I'm in total agreement with you regarding bowling numbers. And that is the situation. You know, we've got 80,000, supposedly 80,000 individuals playing crown green bowls. They shouldn't be counted twice. Not sure whether they have or they haven't, what they've got in place to make sure it doesn't. Of course, everyone should have a unique membership number, which I think we have. But when you look at leagues and how well or poorly they're doing or whatever, you're just counting the same players again and again and again. So how many of those 80,000 actually play bowls competitively, play bowls in league? How many are social? And I know that British Crown Green are going to have that information at some point once they've got this changeover to a new system. I can't remember what was it called. I can't remember what it was called, but I know the Welsh Dragon Boat Association used the same stuff. So anyway, Alan Reid, hi Andy. In my opinion, you're spot on regarding the lack of TV coverage. Why do the largest companies in the world spend millions on TV advertising? The answer: exposure. And for some of you out there with mucky minds, that's not the sort of exposure we're talking about. But yeah, the game needs exposure and we don't have any at the minute. Dave Parkin, Bowls admin reminds me of the BDO in darts. Ooh, BDO doesn't exist anymore. It's gone out of existence. They've gone. County game, they have sussed, but no interest in promoting players' interests. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Kevin Astley, thanks Andy for the oldie videos. I, as well as many more, have really enjoyed them. Once again, thanks. Not a problem, it keeps me sane for about an hour a week, so that's great. 55 Jiggy commented on the Bassmasters were put on last week, Buckley versus Duncan. I only play flat green, but that was very enjoyable to watch. Well, 55 Jiggy, you'll find it's also very enjoyable to play. And I still reckon, I said this a few weeks ago, if we got flat green clubs to try playing the roving jack game, as we'll call it, because, you know, they don't have a crown, but they're not totally flat, I think they would absolutely love it. It's different, it's challenging, it's quicker, it's more combative, not competitive, combative, one against one, bang. I think it'd work a treat. But what do I know? What do I know? And then I'm going to finish. I know my pal Mike Duckworth has written some awfully long comments, and they're possibly a little bit too long to go on about. But I got a message on Facebook from Tony Chesters, and many of you will know Tony, well-known bowler in Crewe area, yeah. And he's put this: when you talk about winter bowls, I ran in Crewe at the Sydney Arms winter bowls. Apparently there's horses on it now, so that's a shame. They used to have 40 each Sunday, playing round robin, and a last 8 played for the money. And he had 8 blocks on at a time. It must have been a big green. And then he would send the news to Dave Parker, who used to write for the Bowler's World, and put a little bit of a write-up in the Bowler's World. Of course, that doesn't happen now. All sadly gone. And he reminded me that I beat him in the second round of the Bucknell ex-servicemen's the year I won it, which is a fantastic memory. Even I didn't remember that, and my memory when it comes to winning games is pretty good. I do tend to remember games I've lost rather than won. And I think I'm going to finish with let's have a look. Yeah, Gerald O'Shaughnessy again, and for me this makes everything everything I've done this last almost 12 months now, 10 months or so, worthwhile for me. And he says, "Hi Andy, great programme, you spoke a lot of truth. I hope people start to wake up and get this marvellous game working in the right way. My grandson and I was watching the Andy Cairns story." God, you must have been bored. "And I was 18, you was 18 years old." Yes, I was, yes, 18. "My grandson Tate started bowling when he was 9 and gave it up when he was 18. He's now, 14, sorry. He's now 18, and after watching you play and the way you delivered your bowls, he said you remind him how he used to play, and he told me he's going to start playing bowls again this year." Fantastic! Can you imagine if every person managed to get one person, new or old, into the game of Crown Green Bowls? What a healthy situation we'd be in. And that for me is fantastic. It makes all the effort I put into these things worthwhile, and I'm really, really pleased for you, Gerald, and I hope Tate gets some practice in, and he'll be winning a few comps hopefully in months to come. So that was Comment Corner. Remember, if you want to ask any questions or make any comments about what I'm talking about, or any suggestions for things you might want to see on the channel, either leave a comment in the YouTube comments on the videos, or email me, or find me on Facebook. I do see every message. I might not reply to them all because there is a lot, but I will try and answer as many as I can. So thank you again. And we finally made it over the 1,500 subscriber mark. I've picked up about 10 or 12 new subscribers in the last couple of days, so that's fantastic. At 2,000 there will be a giveaway. Not sure what it's going to be yet. I haven't decided, but if I can get another 400 and however many 90 odd subscribers, there will be another giveaway. So before I go, I just want to show you something. There's a bit of a tease for next Wednesday's episode. Some of you may know what this is, some of you may have seen it before, some of you might not have a clue what it is, but I'm just going to give you a quick look. That's all I'm going to show you. It's absolutely brand new. It's about 35 years old. Never been used. And that's all I'm going to tell you. But it's going to be connected to next Wednesday's show. So thank you so much for joining me today and listening to me waffle on about goodness knows what. It's always a pleasure to keep you entertained. So guys, stay indoors because it's absolutely chucking it down, and there's obviously the Rona going about. Stay safe, keep occupied by watching my channel, and I'll hopefully catch you on Monday. But don't forget, on Friday there will be another Bassmasters video from 1994 thanks to Roger Morgan. So hopefully have a good weekend. And I'll see you Monday for another look through the Bowler's World archives. So that's bye for now, and I'll see you soon.